Alrighty, kids, Blackie Ray here again with yet another installment of Dating for Metalheads. So today, like I promised, I'm going to get on to breaking the ice. Alright, again, like I was saying before, this whole deal is to help out maybe not so much metalhead guys, but also people who kind of fall into that whole category of not being able to, I guess, conversate or communicate, I should say, on the level that they wanted to in order to, I guess, get across the whole concept of approaching somebody for, a date or something like that. Like, just trying to get into that level of intimate conversation with another person is really hard for some people. Generally, the kind of people that like metal are the kind of people who fall into this category. And that's not necessarily, that's a generalization, because I wouldn't necessarily consider myself one of those kinds of people. I guess I was at one point, but I had to learn the social skills to, be able to convey what I need to convey to people. I had to learn to do that. And, it wasn't easy, but at the same time it wasn't hard. For some people it's just a little bit harder. So anyway, basically breaking the ice is being able to start a conversation, or being not even just start a conversation, but being able to get yourself noticed by somebody who you're trying to approach. You have to have some kind of, I hate to say skill, but there has to be some kind of draw. There has to be something that you do, something that you say, something that would make them interested in talking to you. There's got to be something that would, I guess, for lack of a better way of saying, attract, because attract is a strong word. The reason a lot of people would watch a video like this is because they haven't been able to attract people to themselves. And so, just the word attract can be, a little scary for them, just because the actual experience of someone being attracted to them, they don't feel necessarily like they've experienced that. So you have to have something that attracts people. Now, it may not, a lot of times people feel like it's looks. Looks do attract people, but looks aren't necessarily what sustains any kind of relationship or any kind of conversation, any kind of intimacy. Don't be fooled. There's a lot of good looking people who can't sustain relationships with other people. They can't sustain a conversation even with another person, just because they don't have that skill. As good looking as they are, they don't have that social skill of being able to keep someone interested, So don't be fooled by television and movies. A lot of these people who, are really beautiful people are lonely, because they don't they don't have that thing that makes people want to be in a relationship with them after, the general attraction upon face, That's the truth of it. There are a lot of, good looking people who might watch videos like this just because they don't know how to approach somebody. But okay, anyway, getting to the point. You can't just, okay, you're a metalhead guy, you're walking down, not the street, because people don't walk down the street anymore. That's just kind of an old scenario. Okay, you're in just a place, Walmart, and you see a chick that is attractive to you. You want to approach her, and you want to speak to her. Okay, don't do this. This is not a TV show. This is not a movie. When someone does not know you, one of the worst things you can ever do is come up and just start talking to them. Very rarely does this work out for people. Sometimes it does, and generally it like I was saying, people upon face value, they may be attracted to you. It may be a very good looking guy who can come up and walk up to some random chick and just start talking to her just off of that. The vanity of, being good looking, and her own vanity of, I guess, wanting to be seen speaking to a good looking guy. So this meeting will probably go only as far as talking, exchanging of numbers, maybe talking again. Sometimes maybe more than that, but no more than that. That's it. Nothing more intimate than a brushing of just meeting each other, or a one night stand, that kind of thing. That's the truth of it. Very rarely do those kind of encounters bring about the kind of thing that people want when they meet someone. They generally, a lot of people, one night stands are, everybody wants to do that. That's fine. You want to do that. It's no big deal. But at the same time, sometimes people want to be wanted, quote unquote. I mean, I'm not the first person to ever use that phrase, but you want to be wanted more so in much deeper than just someone sleeping with you. Who doesn't? Because that's what you feel like you're worth. If they don't want to speak to you any further than after you sleeping with them, what were you worth to them other than that? So who wants to be left at that feeling of worth, regardless of how they look or how attractive they may be or how successful they are in their, endeavors in dating or whatever. But anyway, that's everybody. Just touched on a little everybody kind of thing. But anyway, you gotta, okay. What is she standing in? What are the products and what aisle are we on? Your icebreaker has to be the reason you're there, okay? This can't be you're some guy she does not know. So the worst thing you can do is come up and be talking about something else she doesn't know about. You're on the macaroni and cheese aisle, you walk past and you say, man, you might say something funny about macaroni and cheese in front of her or something like that. And then, there's that approach. Then you might just start randomly talking. Generally, it helps to kind of have what's called a wingman. Now, a wingman shouldn't speak for you. There's some scenarios and people who tell you the wingman. No, a wingman is somebody that you help to use off of. You have to appear as human as possible to somebody that you do not know. One of the worst things you can ever do is approach someone alone. You approach somebody alone, it's just like you're this weird alien who just comes up and starts talking to people. That's weird. You don't have friends, you're by yourself. Why else would you be, why else would you just come and approach of, it's just weird. It is. People, especially chicks, play off of every little detail of how your approach was. You got to remember that too, dudes. Think about it. Women get designs on their fingernails that are the manicurist or whoever it was that did their nails had to wear like a microscope lens to put the design on their nails. So think about that. If they care to that detail of something being on their fingernails, that means they're completely aware of every detail of what they have on. They're completely aware of every detail of what you have on. They're completely aware of every detail of how you walked towards them, who you were with, what you were wearing, the smell that was coming off. Everything is important. You have to remember that. It matters. That much does matter. Everything. You gotta always remember that. If a woman cares what design is on her fingernail, the person who had to put it on there had to have like a lens to be. That's how intricate the detail is. That means everything about you will be, specified to that detail. So you have to remember that. Don't approach by yourself ever. And if you do, there has to be some really clever joke there. There has to be some reason for you to start talking, like the macaroni and cheese thing. You might get into what you're cooking tonight, that kind of thing. While you're on that aisle, you start talking to them. Generally, if you're getting somewhere, the conversation will go. If you're getting short answers, keep it moving. They're very curt with you. Do that. You're not getting anywhere. As cute as they may be, it's not. No, like some gurus will tell you gotta be persistent. No. Persistency kind of comes off as obsessiveness sometimes. So don't do that persistent no, it's just weird. People don't like it. It doesn't come across good. It's the worst advice I've ever heard anybody ever give anybody is be persistent. No, you cannot be persistent in pursuit of someone who has no familiarity with you at all. It's weird. It's creepy. Do not ever do that. Ever. And metalhead guys are some of the ones who get pegged for it all the time. No, this is just a generalization. It's horrible. I would never, ever do that. keep it moving. If she is not responding to you with those kind of openers, those kind of things that lead to other parts of a conversation, that means she's not interested in speaking to you. There's nothing outwardly appealing about you, so we're trying to get out of the conversation. Move along. You see another one, work the same angle. That's an angle. I just gave away an icebreaker. Work what's in the environment. Use your environment. I call it the Jackie Chan approach. If you hadn't noticed, Jackie Chan uses just random stuff in the environment to completely rule ass in a fight. And that's kind of what you do. You're using what's in your environment to open the conversation and to basically break the ice. But again, do not be persistent. Persistency is no. You don't know that person. You don't. It's never a good idea. Anyway, that's a good icebreaker. I want to just go ahead and touch on breaking the ice. More or less, I kind of want to continue with different elements of conversation in my next vid or whatever. So, but anyway, like I was saying, metalhead dude, you want to, okay, another thing is with your, everything I was saying about detail and everything, you got to remember, walking around, you want to appear, I talked about being human. For some reason, if you're into metal, people automatically assume you're just this crazy. I know everybody has to seen that stereotype in movies where they're just always some kind of weird dude who eats raw fish out of a fish tank, or some kind of just absolutely crazy stuff that metal people don't necessarily do, but might have done in the 80s. But it's just it's a really silly kind of generalization, but that's the thing that people think when they see you. That's the kind of things that are on that. That's what they think you'll bite the head off of a bat, because Ozzy did it. If you listen to Ozzy, that means that you're probably capable of biting the head off a bat, right? So it's just one of those things. You have to appear as human as possible. My thing is, well, I've always been a kind of a class clown type. I've always liked the idea of making people laugh or feel good. It's something that generally is a good thing. It gives you a good feeling. It does. And after that, generally people approach you and feel that you are more approachable because of that. Because you give people that feeling. That's generally what you want to do as a person. You want to give people the feeling that they can be as human with you as possible. And I do that by, just saying generally, you want to point out the things in life that are funny, even in the face of things that aren't funny, because that's what, people need, whether they know it or not. When something bad happens, always try to point out the funny element of what happened in it being bad. It comes across, oh, Ray, you're so insensitive. That's too early for that joke. No, sometimes the joke being early is what makes it feel better. It's what makes the pain go away from what you're dealing with. Sometimes people have to face that. The best thing to deal with pain is to just dive in it head first. Find the humor in it, Don't relish in the negativity of it, because that'll only create more negativity. It'll make you feel worse. It'll deepen your depression to another degree. You don't want to do that. If something is bad, don't make it worse. Make it better, That's just always been the way I look at it. And as a person, if you into metal, you fall into that horrible generalization, do the opposite, Smile. That's one thing I do a lot of, is I'm a metal dude that does a lot of smiling because people don't expect me to do that. Oh, look at what he's wearing. Look at how, he's telling, he's joking around people, that kind of thing, because that's not what you're supposed to do. Do the opposite of what the metal stereotype is. Just be as bright and as sunny as a summer day, because that's not what people expect. And that'll get you your icebreaker. Gotta think like that, buddy. All right, kids, I'll be back probably later this week with another part of Dating for Metalheads. I hope you guys enjoy this. Check you out later.